Black might be able to play d5 right away in some cases.
Okay. Right. Does this work tactically? I guess it doesn't. That's painful. 5 a.m. for Ankush. It's not a good vibe. I feel so bad.
So it's just gonna be one game of 15-5, is it?
One game of 15-5. You'll give it your 110%. Hopefully we'll see some amazing Tao-like sacrifices since it's Tao's birthday today. And yeah, we'll...
Don't let him bring you to the dark side, guys. You can play however you want. I was just going to ask before we get started whether you guys have any specific chess goals over the short term or the long term.
Actually, I started bit late, so I didn't get rating till now. I'm still trying to get a better rating.
How often are you training? Because you said you were studying as well, right? So how are you balancing it?
I have to manage both. At the daytime, I used to play chess, and at night time, I used to study.
Okay, nice. I mean, actually, same with my uni degree. I was doing like a bit of both, to be honest. Hakeem, how about yourself? Are you like in school, university, graduated?
I actually just finished my IGCSE.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I just finished it, and I'll most likely go to uni in March or April, somewhere
Hold
around
up,
there.
but like IGCSE, so do you not have like A levels or?
E levels, it's optional if you want to, but it's not
Oh,
necessary. Really? Yeah,
Nice.
I will immediately go for a diploma.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I heard A
Whereabouts
levels.
are you based, actually?
Huh?
Whereabouts are you based?
Malaysia.
Malaysia. Okay.
Yeah, Imperial College in London has a bunch of really strong Malaysian players, I believe.
I think we're Malaysia #1 as well.
Yeah.
Is it Li Tian?
Yeah, that's right.
Liu Li Tian. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
the number
Li Tian.
one. Actually, real quick, how did you guys decide on starting this YouTube channel together?
Oh. Well, I guess like in the past we did organize this one university competition, and through that we kind of realized that we work pretty well together. And then I guess at this kind of time, like I guess COVID had just started, lockdown was happening, and I think both me and Dylan wanted to get better at chess. So we thought, why don't we train chess together? And then we're like, why don't we actually document our progress as well?
I'm not going to let you sidestep all the crazy ideas we had along the way. Like, I remember conversations about us starting all kinds of different like companies where we would run tournaments, and very speculative ideas. But I think they were all necessary to come to this point where, like, I don't know, we tried out a bunch of different ideas. We made actual like financial like templates, business models and everything, and we were like, nah, let's just make a YouTube channel.
Yeah, it was easier. I think the craziest idea we had though was like chess on cruise ships. Like would like chess tournaments on cruise ships not be an amazing event? Because,
I like
you get such a diverse range of like old people and young kids and like maybe maybe some kind of like chess training camp on a cruise where you're like stuck there for like 2 weeks. Like, if everyone there plays bingo, surely people would be down to like do some chess as well.
Yeah, I'm still down for that, but I'm pretty sure like it's gonna come in the form of us just like going on a vacation and like studying on our own. And it's not gonna not a real business venture, but more of a vacation.
We'll see. Chess for cruises.
Okay, cool.
So we have
A Sicilian. Yeah, you're gonna be. This is your territory.
Yeah, 96. This is definitely my territory. Like, I play a lot of Clash Chronicles. We have a Sicilian Rosalimo.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's as far as I know, is that this is called the Rosalimo, and that's it.
Yeah, that's actually interesting because I thought so when I played Hakeem before, and he played a C6 D5 setup. So I thought he was going to play like a Cairo, which is why I was like, Dylan's going to be perfect for this. He's going to know what's up.
Of course not. So this is a dragon, right? Is this an accelerated dragon, or?
Well, I think it's just Rosalimo at this point.
Okay.
Like the fact that white hasn't done d4, it just changes the nature of the position, and you can't really call it a dragon.
Gotcha.
I think.
That makes
So
sense.
this is like mainline Rosalimo, which I've started to try and learn, but I don't really play myself.
Okay, and let's see how they handle the time as well, because we're in the opening and already they're slowing down a little bit, or at least Ankush is.
Yeah. And that's one really interesting thing about Ankush as a player. So he's very new to chess, and he is like his long play has really skyrocketed. Like as you can see, his rapid play is 2100, but then his bullets, for instance, he can't get above 1500. So I think like, I guess maybe his calculation is good, but maybe his intuition is lacking.
Now,
Because
that's
I
the
feel like
exact
with his
reverse
last
problem I have.
Yeah.
I'm jealous though about his progress. It looks very impressive.
Right.
So is this?
I like the dedication from what I could hear, like, you know, like, play, like, study chess during the day, study school at night, like, just on that grind, you know?
So Eyelash is in the chat. She's saying she really enjoyed watching us both on Ultimate Sensei. Thanks, Eyelash. But
awesome.
I'm very. I don't know what to say. I'm sorry. Sorry to my partner. Sorry to.
I mean,
Sorry.
the only person I should be apologizing is to Artis for giving him so many heart attacks. But yeah, it was really good fun. And actually, one thing that I really liked was in the interview afterwards when Max was just saying a bit about how he felt like he was too overconfident and he's grown a lot from. I don't know, he's become a lot more humble, which made me feel a lot better about losing to him. So
Yeah,
I was like, those are my true thoughts.
It sounds like David actually flagged that as one of his psychological issues. So it's good that he's aware of
I
it.
mean, it's definitely true. Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, yeah, just saying.
So
Okay.
is this normal to take on c6 unprovoked?
Yeah, so when I play the system as black, I find it more annoying when white doesn't take and clarify the position. And sometimes I am even tempted to play a6 just to allow this capture. I know that it is mainline theory to just capture on c6, but as a black player, normally I'm more annoyed when, they just keep that pin for long.
I also realized though that a6, like maybe provoking bishop takes c6 is not like so much of a concession in the Sicilian when a6 is such a useful move anyway.
Is it a useful?
Well, I mean, you always want to go b5, don't you, in a Sicilian? Maybe I'm just talking out my ass.
I mean, it depends what you're doing. So, like, for instance, in these kinds of positions, sometimes I even like to castle queenside. So, I wouldn't want a6 or b5 in that situation.
You want the flexibility.
Yeah, I think in general in these kinds of setups, black will want to go for, like, e5 and maybe put a pawn on b6. Just stay super solid. Maybe at a later point expand on the queen side, but for now, I think it's more about just getting the pieces onto the right squares.
Sure.
So I think I had this position against Artis. I was like trying to out-prep him, which is silly, but it kind of worked actually. Like I kind of knew what he was going to play against me in some blitz training game. And essentially, there's a line where you play like knight f6, knight d7, e5. So we have knight f6. And you basically reroute the knight by f8 to e6. And the idea is that you kind of like control the f4 square a bit better. So when white eventually tries to play like knight h4, f4, you've got a bit more control there. And I think black should be doing fine here. Like,
out of curiosity, is it basically just piece play and maneuvering that black is aiming for, or is there a specific break that black likes to achieve? Because like with the b6 idea, the most logical break on the queen side would be c4, so that you can eventually play c5 and maybe open up a fianchettoed bishop on b7.
Right.
But I don't know how to like arrange that with this piece configuration.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, c4 looks like a nice move just thinking about it in general. It's funny that this b6 move is actually a very theoretical nuance, which makes no sense unless you know the theoretical path 10 moves later, and basically the c5 pawn tactically is unprotected, which allows white to get away with an advantage in some random position. But so you need b6 to defend the c5 pawn because of that main line. So it's really not, it's very counterintuitive. It's not like you're playing b6 for some positional gain. It's basically just a slight improvement to the main line of that line. So yeah, I don't know how helpful that is, to be honest.
Okay, I was going to ask you to guess the move. This looks pretty logical. Whenever a bishop goes to e3 without h3 having been played, I always look at knight g4 ideas.
Right, but bishop takes c5 was on the cards, which is why I guess.
Right, so now I'm wondering if he's going to go h3 or if he's...
Yeah. I would play h3 here.
Yeah,
Like,
two of black's pieces can go there. Ooh, that's provocative.
Wow. d4. Oh, I don't like that at all. Like, b2 is hanging. Like, is there not a knight takes e4 in the position? Like, okay, probably knight takes e4 is a bit ambitious, but...
I mean, it's playable. I mean, it's a piece and 2 pawns for a rook, right?
Piece and 2 pawns. Oh yeah, exactly. But you probably don't want to lose the dark squared bishop. The
yeah,
dark squared
exactly.
Bishop is an
Yeah.
absolute monster.
Yeah, now this knight g4 plan is even stronger.
I mean, c4, just creating yourself a backwards pawn, giving up the d4 square, not preventing knight g4. The fact your b2 pawn is weak, I can't believe it.
Yeah, c3. I mean, c3 even looked decent with the idea of d4 one day.
Yeah.
And if this also plays against black's break of c4, because of c4 then d4, and white has a good center.
Now here I'm wondering if white can just play knight c3 and just say, okay, I accept that we've lost the bishop, but maybe with the open f file, maybe we can push d4. But no, black's going to be better for sure with the bishop pair and that dark square bishop.
Yeah, again, man. Queen c2, I don't like it. It's kind of passive. I mean, it's a move. Michael, are you there?
Yeah. No, I'm just thinking about it. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, like, maybe at least with queen c2, it means the knight can develop to d2, perhaps, instead of c3. But I actually don't know where white wants to put their pieces.
Maybe
I think black is doing extremely well here.
Is rook d1 followed by d4 an idea?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you've got to get rid of this d3 backward pawn weakness. If black can somehow... Yeah, I mean, actually, the problem with, like, rook d1 idea, surely black can just play e5 or something, right? And just clamp down.
Yeah, unfortunately for Ankush, I feel like his idea with c4 was not to eventually play d4, but it seems necessary in this position.
Right.
Because it's...
Also, Ankush is very low on time. Like,
yeah.
You know, Hakeem's used 1 minute. Ankush has used half his time.
Yeah, this is one of those things that sorry, I was going to say it comes with experience, time management, and Ankush is the one with less practical experience.
Yeah, and I think also it's not just practical experience, but like being on stream and knowing that people are watching, people are talking about your games.
Yeah.
Like Hakeem streams on Twitch, so he's completely used to this. Ankush is just studying chess, like he's not like playing online or anything. So this is probably quite nerve-wracking for him.
Yeah,
So,
definitely an advantage there. But he
yeah.
goes ahead with this rook d1 plan, so I'm confident that he's trying to liberate his position.
Now, for sure, after rook d1, I want to play knight takes e3, f takes e3, and e5. Whoa, f5. Well, okay, let me finish my point. So, knight takes e3, f takes e3, e5, and the point being that the rook has just left the f file. So now opening up the f file would mean white would have to waste the tempo going back to f1, which I think justifies taking the bishop. Just saying we have a beautiful dark square bishop.
Yeah, it's very hard to find a good plan there for white. I mean, d4 is never coming anymore.
I do realize though, when I say like play takes on e3, f takes e3, and e5, e5 does block the g7 bishop. So maybe I'm misevaluating the position.
Yeah, I think this
a
needs
bit
to
there.
be timed correctly. I don't know if e5 in that very moment is necessary, but it seems like a good strategic plan to me.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you blunt your bishop, but you just have such overwhelming domination of the position. Like, you're always going to be slightly better, and you can just keep.
So is f4 a threat here, or would this?
f4.
It might not accomplish much after the bishop drops back, and maybe there's no good follow-up.
All I know is that white shouldn't take on f5 because bishop f5 and white
Oh,
is
for sure.
practically lost. So,
Yeah.
but I'm wondering, yeah, this f5 move. Like, if not for f4, then what is the point of f5? Like, you're not threatening to take on e4. That would just help white tremendously. Get rid of his backward pawn.
Well, he's opening up the
So-
rook.
Opening up his king. Oh, wow, f4? Is that just a piece? Oh man, Ankush. Ankush is tilting. Is that not a piece or am I missing something? Just f4.
It looks
That's
pretty
1-0.
pretty straightforward. I don't think there's any counterattack. Is there like some H?
No, there's no h3.
H3,
because
no.
h3 takes on e3, takes on d4, takes on d2. This is game over.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, knight d2 was probably the only move that blunders the game. Or maybe knight fd2 as well. Actually, okay, there's lots of ways you can trap your bishop.
Also, wasn't knight c3 just much more natural in general?
Yeah, I think so, because maybe knight c3 to e2.
Yeah. And it doesn't block the rook that you just put on d1.
Yeah, knight d2. And I mean, you know, you're already wanting to recapture e4 with the pawn, not the knight. So, yeah, this is GG Hakeem. What do you think of this, like, in general, as like a idea, like battle of the chess lifestyle fans? Like, is there any way we can make this any bigger than just like individual face-offs?
That's a good question. I
mean,
don't know. I
can't
mean,
read
there's
the
very,
chat, so if you have
very,
any ideas.
very little demand for it right now, as you can see by our Twitch viewership. But I mean, potentially for the future, something to think about.
Yeah, true.
Also, we.
I mean, at the end of the day, we're uploading this on YouTube, so maybe if we get, like, if anyone watching this video on YouTube has any ideas, stuff they might like to see, then
Yeah,
feel
I
free to
think
comment.
merging this idea with maybe the interview idea, where we can like actually get their basic stories and their ambitions, and you know how they're involved in the chess lifestyle before they
Right.
play with a quick interview. I mean, we can merge these ideas.
Yeah.
Okay, so black in dominating position right now with the two amazing bishops. Obviously,
Peace up.
Peace up, yeah.
Would you resign?
I would resign and ask for another game because there's time at this point.
Yeah, exactly. I just accept that I've been completely toasted. I don't know, actually, maybe in the moment. Thing is, it's like, you're not just a piece down. You have a bishop pair versus a knight with a backward d3 pawn. It's painful. It's
Yeah,
very,
white really has
I feel
nothing.
like I'm being a Jesse right now. I don't like this. It's so easy. It's so easy to just be mean, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, I really don't think it can be understated the effect of the pressure when you're not used to it.
Yeah.
I felt
For
it during
sure.
Ultimate Sensei throughout the whole time. I
Yeah.
mean, it definitely got easier, and I was actually somewhat comfortable playing in the finals, especially after there was like not much left to lose in my case.
Right.
But so that's my suggestion. Just lose as much as possible, and there's no more pressure.
Winning strategies by Dylan White.
Yeah.
Oh man, and now it's just blundering a pawn. It's like just takes on f3, completely obliterate the king side, play e5, queen into h4.
How is this losing another pawn?
Bishop takes f3.
Okay,
pawn
and rook
takes
takes
f3,
f. Yeah.
takes f3. That looks good enough to me. And when you're completely destroying on the dark squares, you just come in with like queen d4, bring the other rook to f8, just smash on f2. Something like this. I don't know.
Yeah.
Actually, rather than queen d4, bishop d4, because the point is the bishop is like a smaller piece than the rook and queen, and yeah, that f2 pawn isn't going anywhere. Yeah, this is very nice, like from Hakeem.
Yep.
But on that point of pressure, actually, like obviously I've been tutoring students of like, I don't know, from the ages of like 7 to 12 for the last 2 years, and through that process I feel like I've improved a lot and know what kind of lessons I should be teaching them. But I remember like I had 2 brothers who I was teaching, and I gave them about 5 lessons. And I thought, you know, these lessons were just quality lessons, like covered all the bases, like they're gonna be pros, you know, after these 5 lessons. They then played some games on like Chess Kid, and all of it went out of the window. It was like suddenly like actually studying and knowing the stuff versus actually playing. Like I would quiz them and they would know and they would come up with the right answers. As soon as it got to playing, it was just like a different player completely. So I think, yeah, getting that experience, it's really important. Like you can't just study chess; you've got to play it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, rook takes f2 is coming. Maybe just queen f8, even e5 with queen h4.
Let's start with Hakeem. So Hakeem, how did you feel about the game?
I feel really good about the game. You know, I thought this is one of my usual lines, I would say,
Right.
against Sicilian. I was thinking after like on move 6, I was thinking of playing e5, because I think e5 is a book move, I would say. Do you guys think like? Do you
We
guys
can
think
check.
E5
Let's
is-
go to the analysis board and look at the live book. Yeah, e5 is the second most common move, and white scores pretty well in that. But I mean, that's no different than most Sicilians, honestly.
I think if you want to play e5, I think the line is to play knight f6 as you did, and the idea is that after h3 is the most common move. I think there's this line where you go knight d7, and you play e5 after knight d7. So you play knight f6, knight d7, and then e5. And you reroute the knight by f8 to e6, and yeah, you have like really nice piece placement, good control over f4 and d4. So I think that's the line where, or at least that's the theoretical hot line right now. This knight f6, knight d7, and e5.
Right, and and from like, you know, I would say from move 10 here, everything was fine, you know, but what really put me on suspect was Ankush moving a little bit slow, you know, in this beginning of the opening, I would say. and then just immediately after knight bd2, it's just a blunder with f5.
Right.
Just
Yeah,
blunder.
yeah.
Yeah, f5.
So,
So-
Ankush, what were your thoughts about like the opening? Did it feel unfamiliar to you? And yeah, also knight bd2 as well. What was going through your head at that point?
I was familiar with the opening, but with the knight d2 move, I didn't see that actually.
You've just missed f4 completely.
You can say blunder.
Yeah.
Yep. But first, I didn't want to skim past this this c4 move. Can you tell us what your thoughts were and what your plan behind c4 was?
I wanted to dominate the queen side, and that's why I put the bishop on e3.
Okay, so maybe you wanted to like fix a weakness on c5, and did you?
That's why I made the double pawn, but eventually I made a blunder.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think actually c4 may even be the first blunder because, in a sense, like, okay, yes, c4, you're stopping black from expanding on the queen side. Black can't play b5, but actually with your bishop on e3, black can't play b5 anyway because bishop takes c5 is always on the cards. So
And
I feel like c4, yeah. Do you wanna
and
jump in?
d3 is also kind of a weakness, I would say.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a backward pawn, and black is just going to chuck huge amounts of pressure on that pawn in the later stages of the game. So yeah, in general, c4 it's not a move you want to play because it's just doing a much better job defending d3, c2, and I feel like there are more pressing things into position. Like I think the move that I was considering instead of c4 was the move h3, just to stop knight g4 trying to take the bishop on e3. And I'm sure you both have heard of like the concept of the bishop pair. Like in general, yeah, we don't want to lose this dark squared bishop. Otherwise, the bishop on g7 is just uncontested and it's just super strong. So yeah, I think h3 instead of c4 may have been a better try. Yeah, and actually, Hakeem, you surprised me with f5. I actually quite like the move. But yeah, I mean, like when you see that you've got like a static advantage, like this backward pawn on d3, like f5 feels like it's complicating the position, perhaps unnecessarily, but also actually I really like the move. So I guess what were your thoughts about that?
I mean, I played f5 just to see what I could do with the position, and I was obviously not gonna bother on taking on e4 because of I don't want to give his rook the open file.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, so I just want to maintain some pressure maybe. But one of the advantages of taking on e4 is that you have also an open file on the f file.
Yeah, that's
Right.
that's the merit that I mentioned, and also, I mean, it does restrict somewhat White's development ideas, like knight bd2. Obviously, was the blunder that Ankush fell into, but that's leads us to the next point, Ankush, about like fundamentally, strategically, knight bd2 might have been inferior to maybe just knight c3, because you went c4, and you can put your knight on its most natural square behind the c pawn now, and that seemed like it might have been one of your ideas with c4. And here I think it adds to controlling some of the central light squares. It's controlling b5 importantly, if black ever wants to push, and maybe it can maneuver one day to e2 to f4 or to g3 or something. It seems to step on your other piece's toes on d2. You move the rook to d1 and it's blocking the rook's vision, and so I think knight c3 might have been a little more natural.
Yeah. Just a suggestion. Do you guys want to have a rematch with colors reversed? So I felt like that game went by pretty quick.
Sure, no problem.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
But but before we get into that, I just
Sure.
want to check one thing in this game. Like after he plays the move rook ab1 on move 15, like when I take the knight on f3, I was wondering if I could take it with the rook instead. But yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But I did. But there was only one problem I had to face. He was either queen e3 or queen f4, and then the idea wouldn't really work. So I just had set up just to play it simple.
Right. I mean, in general, to me, sacrificing the rook feels unnecessary. Like, if let's say your queen was on h4 and your other rook was on f8, then sure. But the point is, I think your development is too slow at this point to justify an exchange sacrifice like that. And yeah, as you played in the game, just bishop takes and followed by rook takes. So that rook on f3, like clamping that pawn on f2 down, followed by the bishop coming into d4, exactly how you played it, I just think is the best way to go for sure. Like, yeah, the exchange sack in this position definitely doesn't feel correct from an intuitive point of view for me. So yeah, I think you made the right call there.
Right.
Yep, I agree. But good game. Ankush, we were talking about the fact that you might have less experience playing in front of viewers. Is that something you were thinking about consciously at all, or does it not have too much of an effect on you?
No, but actually, I was not aware about that move actually.
Okay, yeah, it was just an oversight.
I don't used to play that morning this much. I don't.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah. the time zones as well. Yeah, true.
I split nearly 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock.
Okay. Yeah, sorry about that, Ankush. Next time we'll be
Okay.
kinder to your sleep.
Alright,
Okay,
so I
yeah.
challenge Ankush to another game with
Go for
white
it.
pieces. Alright, I'll go back on mute.
Cool. Good luck, guys. Okay, it looks like a very similar. Well, okay, it's d4 though, so the game started with the ready.
Wow, you'd think this is a blitz game or something.
I actually refuse to call this a ready. This is definitely not a ready. It's a transposition into a
Yeah.
d4 opening. But you would disagree with that if I'm.
I would disagree. I like to call it a ready. Knight f3 is just it's a ready. Anything that comes from that is just still part of the ready. Genius.
Okay, and d5.
Does that feel wrong? I feel like it feels wrong. Like,
It's a
you know, the pawn on d4, you're basically controlling all of these central squares, and suddenly by pushing d5, you've created these weaknesses. Like, you're no longer controlling e5 and c5, and Ankush immediately jumps in with a knight to c5, just exploiting that. I don't know if you had to jump in immediately. I would be wondering if like b4 is ever a good move.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to have to be played sometime, which is why I think probably either queen d7 or bishop d7 should be played to control a4, so that I don't know, maybe that's dubious to put the knight on a4, e4, knight
there's
a4.
knight on a4. That feels so wrong. I don't like that at all. What I was thinking of was maybe a5 to stop d4.
Hmm.
Like, it creates a backward pawn on b6, but the d6 pawn, it can't be attacked.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
maybe I can get away with a5.
Yeah, that does look right.
But the problem with a5 is that that's why I have a3, b4. So then again, opening the a file can only favor black. So
Well, I mean, not necessarily. It just depends on whether he can recapture with the rook.
I guess to me, I feel like I want to say it favors black because of our bishop on g7, controlling the a1 square. I mean, okay, the bishop on b2.
Yeah, I don't like queen d7 in this position because, I mean, 3 of our other pieces want to go there, potentially. This takes a lot of flexibility out of the position, and now black's going to lack some harmony. So
Where
what?
would you put the knight?
I mean,
I feel like knight e. I want to say knight e4, but if knight a4 can like harass the bishop on b2, then maybe. But I thought just knight a4, bishop d4, and I don't see the knight sitting too happily. Yeah, I think this is the safer bet for sure.
okay. Well, that was Black's best piece, but also White's bishop on b2 was pretty good as well. So maybe an even trade here.
Right.
So it feels like Black really has to get in like e6 or something. That's another reason I don't like queen d7, because we want to recapture with the bishop if we go e6.
We would, yeah.
So it feels like Black has maybe missed his opportunity to free his position. I think I like White.
By the way, because I mean, I play with Benoni, so I get this e6 in early, but in these kind of King's Indian positions where you play e6 later, I'm always curious about this like d takes e6 move. Like, it's never played, but even after bishop takes, I just feel like the d6 pawn is so weak. Like, I guess you get good piece activity.
Well, if
in
Black can
exchange
play
for
d5,
that.
Black might be able to play d5 right away in some cases.
Okay, right. Does this work tactically? I guess it doesn't.
Well, it looks like a piece.
Oh man. That's painful. 5 a.m. for Ankush. It's not it's not a good vibe. I feel so bad. Well, this is the thing, right? Because we're trying to arrange the time zones, and Ankush originally thought, well, I said let's start at 8 p.m. GMT. Now I think Ankush thought PM was AM. So he told me at 8 p.m. his time is 1:30 p.m. So I thought he was, I don't know, like 6 hours behind. But in fact he thought it was AM, so it's actually 6 hours ahead. So I moved everything forward to help Hakeem out. And I just thought it would be, I don't know, 5 p.m. for Ankush. But in fact it's 5 a.m. So Ankush is like balls right now.
Yeah, it's difficult for anyone playing at that time. Yeah, can't fault him too much, although that was just a pretty straightforward fork. Yeah, I mean, he could try to go for some like bishop b7, rook c8, and bishop takes d5.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry, I think I disconnected.
Okay.
Or...
Yeah, you were lagging there for a second, but I was just going to say, like, maybe his one trick is bishop b7, rook c8, bishop takes d5.
Sorry, say that again?
Bishop b7, rook c8, bishop takes d5. But again, it's just a pawn.
Right. Yeah.
Hakeem should see that.
Hakeem's nodding his head. He's feeling confident.
It's really weird looking at that backdrop. I see folds in a brick wall. Never seen that before.
Yeah. Yeah. Trippy stuff. So yeah, again, it's gonna be so tough for Ankush to get anything out of this position. Like always in a blitz game, you can always hope that like there might be some time pressure that gets involved, but
Yeah.
for 16 minutes, Hakeem has been playing very confidently.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure this attack, I mean, he's in a good position, not only up a piece. He's going to play maybe knight g5 and queen h3 or something, force a concession on the king side. This feels like he might get mated.
By the way, should we look back at the opening? just very briefly, because I felt like the opening was played very well from both sides. Like white plays a very flexible structure, very safe structure, and I feel like black's setup was also very strong. I think the first move I actually disliked was not from Ankush, but from Hakeem with the move d5. And I feel like it's just unnecessary though. Is there any purpose why you'd want to play d5?
Well, let's look at the position before d4 was played. What is black's idea?
I mean, I guess d5 discourages the move e5?
E5.
E5, no, e5 can't be played.
Yeah.
Anyway, what am I talking about? Yeah, I mean here, like I think just play knight c3.
I think his main idea was just to block the bishop once it being kettled.
Ah, okay, yeah, sure. But surely you can wait to see where the bishop develops. Like wait till
Definitely.
bishop e7, then play d5.
It does feel hasty, for sure.
Yeah, especially when there's a knight on b1, you develop all your pieces first.
Yeah.
And I think the knight to c3 is also quite annoying. Like if there's any queen c7, there could be a knight b5. But yeah, I just like keeping black's pieces at bay with the pawn on d4. So I think d5 is perhaps rushed. Again, Ankush developed knight d2, not knight c3. Like what's wrong with knight c3? I guess it blocks the bishop. Oh, actually if knight c3 then just knight f to e4, and that might tactically work.
Wait, in what position, knight of?
Sorry, so move 10. Move 11. I was just saying why Hakeem was playing knight d2.
Oh, in a lot of systems where you fianchetto the bishop on b2 and in d4 openings, you put the knight there in order not to block your own bishop. But I mean, still, I think. I mean, the question is why knight d2 after d5 has been played.
Well, I mean, the point is knight c3 fails to knight f to e4. I think that's why I noticed.
Knight
Because the
f to
point is the
e4.
bishop on b2 is hanging.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think that works.
So you're.
Or am I just chatting rubbish? Like if knight f to e4, then maybe just queen c2. Yeah, I think I like that more. Just play knight c3, queen c2, rook c1, rook d1. Put all your pieces on their ideal square.
You were saying if knight c3, knight e4, knight f e4,
Yeah.
but
And then just queen c2.
why not just knight takes e4?
Because bishop g7 takes the bishop on b2.
And then maybe knight takes c5? I don't know, maybe we just lose an exchange.
Okay. I mean, I don't even know if I want to take the exchange. I'm going to have the dark square bishop on that long diagonal. That's better for black, for sure.
If you don't take the exchange, then aren't you just losing a piece?
No.
Okay.
Knight c3, knight f e4. If you take my knight, I take your bishop. If you take my knight, I can just recapture your knight. You've taken two knights, I've taken the knight and the bishop. And taking your bishop is much more important.
Okay. Must not be thinking clearly right now.
Hey, you've got no excuse. It's not 5 a.m.
No,
where you are.
no, it's 7 p.m. here.
Yeah. That's okay, maybe I can understand. No, but I still think, yeah, knight b2, queen c2. I think bishop f5 shouldn't ever work. Yeah, we can discuss this afterwards.
Yeah, so the position we have now, black goes h5, unprovoked. This feels very loose.
I mean, he's got to try something, right? He's down. But what is h5 doing?
I mean, you've got to play e6, right? You got to open that bishop on b7.
I mean, okay, I can see one merit of h5 is because white could be threatening knight h2 to knight g4 to knight h6 with after king f8 queen h8 mate. So h5 is preventing knight to g4, and now I think g4 is a very,
G4 is
very unnecessary move.
No, I actually disagree. I like it a lot. I mean, you can't
You like it a lot.
you can't take it.
Yeah, but let's say I just play e5 here. I play e5. Actually, no, maybe e6.
White's gonna open up the king side to his favor, I think.
But at the point, I mean, the g pawn can't move. Oh no.
Well, first of all, the h pawn is just hanging. Yeah.
It's not hanging, right? Oh no, the black h.
Well, actually, no.
Yeah,
h3 is hanging as well. So maybe.
It's not hanging. The queen on c3 is defending.
What am I talking about? Yes. Okay, so yeah, g takes h5 is being threatened, and it's not easy to do anything about that. Maybe h4
I
is.
still don't like it. We play king h7. We might get mated, but we put a rook on g8 and hope for something. Ah, no, we're getting mated. We're gonna get mated. Yeah, maybe g4. Maybe Hakeem is just a fucking GM. We're just amateurs.
I mean, it makes sense. You have a knight on h2. You have a bishop eyeing this square.
Yep.
Might as well claim it for yourself.
To me, it just feels unnecessary, bro. Like, you're a piece up. You just, I don't know, keep control of the position, make useful moves, like maybe put the knight on a better square. Now that h5 is played, maybe you could play like the knight back to f3
Right.
and put it on.
That was, I think, yeah, that was the other direction. That was the more patient direction, but I definitely don't see anything wrong with this. I mean, yeah, the virtue of this for me is that the position is actually sort of calling for it. Otherwise, you would have to reconfigure your pieces and select a different plan. But yeah, I think h4 was necessary here. But this is probably going to end quickly.
Right. I mean, here I just play knight to f3.
Yeah.
Hit that pawn. Take the pawn. Yeah, g4 is a lovely move, actually. The more I think about it, yeah.
I'm still
d2.
bothered that I wasn't able to calculate that earlier line correctly. I'm going to go back to that position real quick.
Right,
Just
sure. Yeah, you're definitely not a piece down there. It's just...
So we're looking at the position after knight b2. Instead of knight b2, if knight c3, knight fe4, and...
You were suggesting about knight takes e4, and I was saying no, because bishop takes b2, and then you were saying knight takes c5, and then you were saying, white is...
Okay, so black's just going to recapture the piece, and yeah, it's equal.
Yeah,
Got it.
exactly.
Got it.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, satisfied.
Cool. Okay, so queen d2, what's up with this move?
Looking at h6, I guess, but...
I mean, you have no darts, but okay, queen h6, knight f3, knight g5, maybe. Here, I would, if I was Ankush, as ugly as it looks, no, this is so ugly. I was gonna say f6, g5, but that's so ugly. The light squares are just... I mean, I don't even know what to do.
That's what you would do in a bullet game.
I don't even know. I really don't know. In this position.
Yeah?
What would I... Yeah, I can respect this move. I respect king g7. Like, if knight f3 and you take on h4, that's an open h file. Rook h8, rook h7.
I guarantee you that wasn't his idea. His idea was to keep the queen out of h6.
Multi-purpose. Nah, Ankush is waking up. Ankush, his morning alarm is hit. Ankush is ready. King g7 best move. 100%. Really like that.
Yeah, I agree. Well, let's see what he does after this. Yeah, I was gonna say after queen c3 or queen d4. I don't know. Is he just gonna go
Plays
back?
e5, blunders everything.
I mean,
I would, you know what I'd play? I'd play f6 and next move e5. And if he takes en passant, then I open up my bishop and, you know, maybe I've got some attacking potential. If he doesn't, then the position is nice and closed. Maybe I can lock it all up.
are you saying you have chances after that queen trade? I mean,
I'm saying f6 e5.
yeah, and after d takes e6, the queens are coming off. But black needs his queen for an attack.
What do you mean? How are they coming off?
You're saying f6 e5, and after d takes e6, the d file is open.
No, there's a pawn on d6.
Oh my god. yeah, there in fact is. Yeah. For some reason, I thought en passant worked that you were actually capturing the d pawn instead of the e pawn. Yeah, that's what I was hallucinating for a second.
So, after 6 weeks of Ultimate Sensei training, we have learned that en passant does not work how en passant works.
Yeah, you might want to look for
Now-
a new training partner.
One that knows how to play en passant. That's gonna be tough to find, you know. It takes a long time.
But now, actually, what do you think about e5 in this moment? Because then maybe f5, and it's not so easy to get into black's position.
Maybe. Yeah. But okay, if e5...
e5 takes with the rook.
No, but also you can play this intermediate g takes f6 check. So there's no f5.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, actually, if you play e5, e takes f6, king takes f6, queen takes h4 check.
Right.
And... yeah, the king is busted.
Yeah, and already the knight is coming to g4, and there's going to be pressure on f6.
Yeah.
With
By
or
the way,
without e5.
Dylan, are you like drawing arrows as you like suggest these moves? Because I think that would be really good for the viewers.
Yeah, I have
Probably
been.
should've-
I have been.
Yeah, I mean, that's good. That's good. Okay. Yeah, just for the record, like if queen takes h3, bishop g4 is the move, forking the rook and queen. And does the queen even have any squares? Yeah, it's got one very sorrowful square on a3. But not ideal. I think this is game over for Ankush. And Ankush is struggling with the time.
Yeah.
He's down to a minute.
Hakeem has more time than he
Hakeem is-
started with.
Hakeem has more time than he started with. This is complete domination.
Yeah, I feel like I mean, given the quality of my analysis, I wouldn't have done much better.
Yeah.
Yeah, so g takes f6 is a real threat here, and don't see much you can do about it. Queen f5, just maybe like bishop d. Then maybe we're threatening g5. Maybe queen f5. Queen f5, knight h6.
For the record, I really love this knight g4 move. Like, there's a comment saying to take is a mistake. Like, to take on f6 first, and then play knight g4, you'd be clarifying the position. It's just better to keep the tension.
Oh, definitely.
Don't take on f6, just bring another piece in. Make
I mean, if
your
you
opponent
take,
think, like, yeah.
I was gonna say if you're not threatening anything if you just take, but this actually just adds to the pressure, like you said. Down to 5
and
seconds.
5 seconds.
Oh, and he just
It's a
resigns.
resignation. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, I mean, another blind spot for me was that queen f5, just knight h6.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, can hear you. So, well done, Hakeem.
I,
Started on 15, ended on 15-20. Impressive stuff. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, really impressive performance. Like, especially that last move just shows a touch of class of like, not clarifying the position with g takes f6. You bring another piece into the attack. I really like that. Me and Dylan had a debate over the move G4, whether I felt it was a bit unnecessary. Like, you're a piece up, you can improve your position, just torture black a bit more. Maybe G4 gives black some counter chances, but actually Dylan really liked it, and we talked about it some more, and actually G4, it's working out very well for you. So yeah, I think, again, another nice move. Yeah, Ankush, how did you feel about this game?
It was good till the middle game, but
Mm-hmm.
at the middle game I blundered the knight again.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, I'll get up to that position where the blunder happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, knight c3, it really is. Yeah, it just feels too good to be true. Like, that knight is like all of your pieces are like on the 3rd rank, or well, 6th rank or below, and it's just like one stray knight randomly in white territory. Like, it feels like it's risky. Like, I would be double, triple, quadruple checking a move like knight c3, because I'd be like, there is something like not right about that. But yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate for sure, because I felt like your position was quite nice. As you said, yeah, like you got a decent position out the opening. Yeah, one thing, Hakeem, we were wondering why you pushed d5 so quickly. What was your thoughts about that?
D5. Let me have a look.
On
Alright,
move 10.
so okay, so on move 10, one of the reasons, well, there are basically two reasons. I wanted to open the diagonal for my dark square bishop so that it gets more actively, and the light square bishop for him, it will be just like constructing, I would say. But he didn't really have to put the bishop on b7. He can just simply like move to put the knight on c5 and then just go for bishop g4. You know, that's another way
Exactly.
of putting the diagonal.
Yeah, so I was going to say the reason that we thought that d5 felt a little bit hasty. I mean, maybe in some positions it's a good move, clamping down on e7, but for the reason you gave, that you wanted to open up your bishop is actually very, very active still with staring at its own pawn on d4, because the pawn and the bishop together have greater control over e5, whereas if you push the pawn, you actually release some control over e5. And what's more is that those bishops are probably going to be exchanged, so you can't really claim any sort of advantage on that diagonal.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a good point. And also, yeah, like how you said the bishop can develop to maybe g4 or f5. Like, it's probably better to wait till black commits with bishop e7, and then if you really want to play this d5. Like, I feel like in this position, like, yeah, as Dylan said, like with the pawn on d4, you've got better control of the center, and there are certain pieces that still haven't moved yet. So I think like knight c3 would be a good move. And just play like queen c2, rook c1, rook d1, just get all of your pieces out, and then like commit with like d5 and get the pieces rolling. For me, I'm a big fan of like just making sure all of our pieces are active before committing pawn pushes or committing to any like attacks. Yeah, that's
Right. Yeah,
I mean,
I mean, again, Ankush was low on time,
yeah.
and that was really one of the advantages. They had, on move 19, when I wanted to play h3, it was because I wanted to bring my knight to knight h2, knight g4, and then try knight h6, you know, try threaten some mate. You know, that was one of my ideas. Then he played h5, he saw the idea.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a reasonable idea, and you definitely have the time to do that in this position, but I thought maybe more straightforward, maybe I'm just wrong about this, but was knight g5, and maybe you have threats of queen h3, and maybe if he has to play h6, then this is just going to be a target. You go back with the knight, and maybe he has to push h5. He's creating all sorts of weaknesses. But yeah, no, h3 was fine, and also I do want to point out that g4 was the engine's top move, so good job on that.
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay.
Also, just Dylan, you said knight g5, queen h3. Maybe queen takes h3 could be a problem. like you lose your attacking queen, but then also you're still a piece up. So trading queens is probably in white's favor as well. So
Right.
Right.
But this position, it just doesn't. I wouldn't want to trade queens because his king doesn't have
yeah,
much squares to go to. So this queen could be useful, and the two rooks are gonna be active once when I move the position like to
If-
F3.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
yeah, I think
Yeah.
that it's a good way to play. Like I think just trading pieces and expecting that's the best way to go is not always the way. Like yeah, if your queen is the one more, if you're the one attacking, your queen is more active. There's definitely no reason why you should have to trade queens. Yeah.
Right.
although like you are pushing your kingside pawns, so I mean, I definitely wouldn't put it out of the question because you might. I mean,
Well-
maybe black's only chance is to get some sort of kingside attack.
Yeah, because one of the reasons why I push for G4 is that I'm not worried about my king side because I can just simply play King H1 and then switch the rook to G1 and then just pushing everything I have on his king side because
Yeah.
it doesn't look so safe for his king side for the moment, and the bishop on B7 is not doing anything at all.
Yeah, we were really impressed with this idea. So well done.
Yeah, I mean, just thinking about it, like, if you treat this position as if you weren't up a piece, like, I would also just attack the king as well. So it's kind of like
Right.
you're playing a normal game attacking the king, but you're even up a piece. So your attack's just going to be even stronger. So, yeah, it's nice. Yeah, it's a nice continuation, for sure. Yeah, sorry, Ankush, we're so negative on your position. But yeah, yeah, keep
Yeah.
playing some very nice chess there.
Hey, Ankush. So what would you say is? You said you're. Are you putting? How much time are you putting into studying chess these days? I know you're in school and you're finishing that up, and that's sort of your priority. But how much time do you put into it now, and what do you do in order to study and improve?
In order to improve, I used to study the games of Bobby Fischer mainly,
Ah,
and my favorite player. And I used to solve tactics for in the game only, and I didn't focus the middle game, so it became weak now. And I actually give 4 to 5 hours now, and before I used to give 8 hours to 7 hours for chess.
Well,
nice.
it's dedication. That explains how quickly you've increased in rating, given that you haven't played for very long. So we're very impressed about that. I mean,
Thank you.
seems like you got a good future in chess.
But it's also good that it sounds like you know where you need your work. Like, as you said, you've trained tactics in the end games, but you've just dismissed the middle game. So to get to the end game, you've got to sharpen up your middle game. So, like, yeah, there are many ways you can train middle game as well. Probably like just seeing you play the move c4 in the first game, it showed there were I guess maybe some more obvious positional ideas, like the backward pawn on d3. Like I feel like these ideas need to come more intuitively. So maybe like buying a chess strategy book, like targeting middle games. Like there's some books by Argard on positional chess. I think if you delved into one of those, and spent I don't know, maybe even just half an hour a day reading some pages from that, you'll get through the whole book, and I think it'll really benefit your chess for sure.
Thank you.
What about you, Hakeem? What have you been doing to improve lately, if anything?
Basically, these days I have been more trying to focus on tactics and just playing a lot more games because most of the time for me, how it works is that basically if I play more games, if I, practice a lot enough, you will eventually improve your rating bit by bit.
Yeah, when you play the games, do you analyze the games afterwards?
Before I used to not to, but but sometimes when there's a promising position, I will definitely analyze the game because I really want to know what happened. And in the openings, like sometimes, like I remember my match against you,
Mhm.
and then the opening slipped from me. Like we were playing this E4 C5. We were playing some kind of Alpine, but
Mhm.
I got the wrong idea of the opening, so that really messed me up. But now I sort of know how to play that opening now.
Okay, nice, nice. Yeah, I remember you messed up Alapin, and I can't remember how. But yeah, it was yeah, something fundamental about it went wrong.
I have a
Yeah,
similar experience against Michael losing to his slug, and then like looking at the slug, and now I have a database on it, and you gotta do that stuff sometimes. You gotta have a.
yeah.
Sometimes you
Have
need
you
a.
have you heard of this made-up opening of mine called the Slug?
I never heard of a slug.
Yeah.
What opening is that?
Okay. Well, you shouldn't try this at home, but it's C3, knight A3, knight C2, F3, knight H3, knight F2. So you kind of like fianchetto the knights into the center, and then you hit back in the center with D3, E4. And
Okay.
yeah, I've actually beaten an FM with this in again a university match. So it can be surprising, and against certain setups, a bit slower setups, like if black plays like G6, Bishop G7, kind of modern Perk kind of setups, the C3 move really blunts any bishops on the diagonal, and the knights on F2 and C2 actually contribute to some attacks as well. So if you can get away with the loss of tempi in the opening, then actually the resulting position isn't too bad. And funnily enough, I was listening to a podcast. I don't know if you guys haven't heard of it. There's a podcast called the Perpetual Chess Podcast, and they interview some top players, some amateurs, some improving players, all kinds of people. Really interesting podcast. And they were interviewing this GM called Alex Ipatov, and he actually, like halfway through, he vouched for the setup, and obviously he didn't call it the slug because it's not really called the slug. But like, yeah, he actually said like he's been playing with some kind of hyper modern ideas, and he's been like playing this stuff. So yeah, maybe it's got some merit, but yeah, it's in general.